Welcome to the Brooklyn Book Festival. My name is Liz Koch. I'm one of the co-producers of the festival together with Carolyn Greer. And we're thrilled today to welcome Grammy Award-winning musician and children's book author, Ziggy Marley, and Lisa Lucas, the publisher of Pantheon and the former executive director of the National Book Foundation. I just wanted to give a heads up that this is the start of our incredible week of literary events. We'll have events taking place, bookend events all this week, both live and virtual. And then this upcoming Saturday, we have our Children's Day, which is live in downtown Brooklyn. And also Festival Day on Sunday is hybrid, where most of the day, daylight hours will be in downtown Brooklyn around Brooklyn Borough Hall. And then in the evening, we switch over to the virtual global stage where you can hear virtual programs from 5 until 11. It is our Sweet 16 this year. So please support the festival, large and small donations. We love them. And also take note of the fact that there is a book link to purchase Ziggy Marley's latest children's book. And that is a true way to show the love to the author. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa and Ziggy, and enjoy the program, everyone.
Thank you. All right, here we are. I'm so excited to be here to talk to you about these two extraordinary books, which made me just absolutely swoon. And I'm also, my brother is never impressed by me, but I told him that I was interviewing you today, and he was like, he did the song to Arthur. That is the song, that's the soundtrack of my generation. So I was very, very excited to come here and talk to you today about Little John Crow, which I have here, and my dog Romeo.
Yes.
But just before we get into the books and the topics, you know, you obviously grew up in this famous music family and are a Grammy Award-winning musician. And that's not always like the thing you think of when you think of the Arthur soundtrack or children's books. So how did you pivot, you know, a life of music and your own musical practice into becoming a children's book author?
Well, I mean, for me, growing up, the first song we ever did, right? 1979, my father wrote it. It was a song called Children Playing in the Streets. So from we were young, we were always, even as children, we were always involved in the world of our peers as children. And as I grew up, and the example that I saw from my family was a care for kids, for children, especially those less fortunate, you know, orphans or kids who had illness, that we would support the children hospital. So it's just a part of who we are really as human beings, where we have a special place in our heart for children, you know what I mean? And it's a kind of natural extension of the music and the message that we try and speak to children, because, you know, as we believe and know, it's really the way for a better world is through the children, really. That is the real root. Mm-hmm. And so we you know, we are honored to be able to speak to children.
And so when you were coming up, like, what did creativity and art and literature like mean for you? And how was it a part of your family?
So growing up in Jamaica in those days, really, we used to get our books at school. You know, we used to have the book or teacher, the ABCs and stuff like that. But most of our stories were told verbally by the old people in my family. My grand aunt and her generation, they used to tell us stories. A lot of the time we used to have blackouts or brownouts. I don't know what you guys call it, but the light would cut off, and you know, the kids, we would be there would be nothing to do, and then my grand aunt would start telling stories. Some of them scary stories, some of them funny stories about a Nancy who was the spider, and Brother Tukuman, and all of a Jamaican folklore kind of stories. So we grew up with stories being told to us, not really read to us, but we love stories, you know, and music is a part of storytelling. And, you know, it's just, yeah, I mean, my oldest sister, Sharon, she she's into child education. So it's a thing that runs in our family, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that sort of, and both of these books are very lyrical. And I actually read, whenever I'm reading a children's book, I read it aloud. Even
Yeah.
if, even if I'm just sitting at home, there's no point to me in just sitting and reading it like a book, because you're going to read it aloud to a kid. And it reminds you just how, this oral tradition and these stories are really like rooted in how you tell stories as a little one. What was your favorite story that your aunts or grandma would tell you when you were young? Do you remember?
My favorite is an Anansi story, and I tell my kids, like, I tell them the same stories that I was told, right? So this Anansi story, it's about a bull who had a golden tongue, and this king in this kingdom, he wanted to get this tongue, and so he sent out a message, whoever can get the tongue, we can marry my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody was going out for this tongue, and Anansi, there was a little boy who went out and got the tongue, but then Anansi found the cow, and he got the head of the cow, and he thought he had the tongue, but he didn't have the tongue, and he went to the palace, and it was like, I have the tongue, and the king said, come show me the tongue, and everybody thought Anansi had the tongue because he had the head of the bull, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then another knock came at the door, and there was a little boy who said, I have the tongue. And the little boy came, and he actually showed the tongue. And so Anansi got chased. And the stories are the moral of the stories, that's why you see spiders always live in the roof, like in the corners, because Anansi got chased because he didn't have the tongue. So that's how I know why spiders live up in like the corners.
Yeah. Right, but there's
That's
like
the
a
reason.
real, it's all tied into our actual lives. So I actually want to go into Little John Crow first, which you wrote with your wife, yeah?
Yes.
And was illustrated by Gordon Rao, is it?
Garden Row, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how did you guys all come up with Little John Crow?
Little John Crow, I like, I write stories, I write stuff down on paper all the time. A lot of it doesn't get seen or published or even in songs. It's just stuff I write down. And so I'm constantly writing down stuff that's in my head. And so I started this story years ago about a turkey vulture. In Jamaica, where I grew up, we call them John Crow. They mean John Crow. John Crow. That's what we used to call turkey vultures. And we always vilified them and hated them. And, where I lived, we lived across from a big open, just a piece of dirt land. And these turkey vultures would all hang out over there. And we would walk to school, and we would walk by the turkey vultures and throw stones at them and, whatever. So and then when I grew older now, I kind of realized the importance of vultures. As a child, I didn't know. I thought they were like evil and wicked and nasty and dirty, but realizing the important role they play in our ecosystem, I had a new appreciation for them. Mm-hmm. And so I started writing the book as a way to honor these creatures who sometimes don't get the love that other animals do. You know what I'm saying? They don't get the glamour and the stuff, And mm-hmm. in the book, I even said that vampires are more celebrated than turkey vultures, Transylvania and all of this type of stuff. So it's just a way for me to honor that, and I use my past to tell. I use where my actual experience to express the story, and to let it be about. It's about a turkey vulture who doesn't want to be a vulture, because as I thought, vultures were like dirty, vilified, and in his community, everybody was like, "Oh, you're a vulture? Ew, no, that's dirty." So he doesn't want to be a vulture. He's like, "No, I don't want to be a vulture." All my friends are like, my friends are pigeons, they're snakes, they're cool animals. Vultures aren't cool. And so he has to find a way to accept himself for who he is. And his friends have to find a way to accept him for who he is. And so that's really what the story is about, him finding himself and being accepted and being understand that everyone is important in our environment, in our ecosystem. Every creature is important, every human being is important. And so it's finding that you have to find your own self-worth, and people have realized that all of us play a role in our lives on this planet, you know.
Yeah. And so, it's like so obviously we're going to talk about my dog Romeo, but like books about animals or anthropomorphic books are often like about cute animals, like about teddy bears and, little dogs and cats and bunnies. And, so how do you take like a vulture? Because you have to talk about the fact that they eat dead things, right? That they, that they're eating carcasses. And you're talking to like little kids. And trying to get them to understand the beauty. So like, what kind of work do you have to do to make the vulture not gross, like in the way that you work? Because you still have to deal with what vultures eat.
No, but that's the question. Like, how do they make like the vampire be like kid friendly? How did they do that? Like, all right, if they could do that, then I could do this. I mean, how do you turn a vampire into like a kid's, into a kid's program? That's crazy to me. The vulture, not so crazy. The vampire, that's really way out there. So when I was like, yo, come on, it's not a very hard thing to do. I mean, the truth. First thing, we can't be afraid to tell children the truth, right? I mean, this is something that they can totally understand because it's a part of nature, it's a part of the ecosystem. They need to understand these things at a very young age. So it's not, I mean, kids can be gross themselves, so.
Sure. There's this German book that I think of that's so popular, which is called like, Whose Poop Is This? And it's just like, there's all these different poops and it's like, nobody knows which animal. And it's like, kids love it. It's hilarious because they have this like inbuilt cultural fear of things. So it's actually, when you look at all the story of the spider trying to find the tongue, I mean, that's not like delightful at foundation. And a vulture does what a vulture does. And everybody poops, as they say. And so it is refreshing to sort of see the natural real world be reflected back inside of something for children.
Yeah, man, I think we underestimate children and kind of try to shelter them from, I mean, there's some sheltering that is needed, but to teach them about, the book is a way to teach them about animals and the ecosystem and the environment and the acceptance of each other and the acceptance of yourself, and understanding the importance that everybody plays. So for me, the fact that the animals do eat dead animals is a good thing, because if they didn't, what would happen to the planet?
Everybody figured out it was stinky. We got to get rid of the stinky.
Yeah, I mean, so we know it's good to let them understand these things, in a very playful and good way,
So have you read it? So as you were writing it and testing it out, did you read it to any children to sort of see how they responded or reacted?
Yeah, my children.
So how do they like it?
Yeah, man. They pay attention. When a kid is like enthralled or is into the story, they don't have to say nothing. You can see that they want to hear. It's like, whoa, yeah, they want, the interest that they show in the story. It's not boring. They weren't like trying to do other things. They were into the story. And that's how I know when it's good, when somebody is captivated, when the kids are captivated by the story. They don't want to go off and play. They don't want to be watching TV. They want to hear the story and they're captivated in it. So I tested it out on my kids, 4-year-old, Isaiah, a 10-year-old, Abraham, and my older kids too. Judah, she's in high school. Gideon, he's in high school, to 14 and 16. So yeah, them, I saw that they enjoyed listening to the story. So that was enough for me.
Yeah. And so, you're talking about just making sure that young people are aware of the ecosystem and the environment and the creatures that populate our world, and the fact that they're important. Everything has its place is like a big, strong message from this book. And, do you think young people are connected to the environment? Do you think that we have a lot of work to do in children's literature and making sure that we're disseminating these messages that, like, we all matter to making sure that we, live in a collaborative ecosystem that supports us all?
There's a lot of good books out there, man. I have a bunch. My kids, our library is so huge for the kids, I've been reading to them from a long time. So there's a lot of great kids book out there that I think is doing a great job to me. I mean, that's how I feel about it. But there's always room for a little bit more, and especially nowadays. I mean, the idea of, to me, you don't have the music, so I feel like we used to sell albums, right? Vinyls, then we used to sell CDs. And now those things are becoming less and less important and more obsolete, right? But I feel like a book, like a physical book, an iPad can't replace this. An iPad can't replace doing this.
Right.
You know, it's there's something about this, reading an actual book, that the electronics, the digital space, I mean, it works in some way, you know, it can work, but it's just not, I don't know, there's something else about having a book and reading it and not having like a glare in your face and a light shining and the electronics and the, you know, all of that stuff. So it's very important that for me that we keep doing actual books and reading actual books and passing them down to the kids and their kids, and it just get passed down through generations, you know, books, you know? Yeah.
And, you know, one more question about Little John Crow before we talk about My Dog Romeo is that it's very musical. You know, there's a song inside of it at some point, right? And so did you think of that in song, or did you just kind of add in, you know?
No, I just make it up as I go, you know?
It's so cute. I really have to say that it's the cutest vulture in the whole world. Now, on a totally different note, you've got My Dog Romeo, which is adorable. And the art is so different and the story is so different. And it's obviously for a much younger reader.
Yes.
And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But tell me a little bit about how My Dog Romeo came to be.
Yeah, so Ben just said, John Cross, you say, is from a more older, a little bit older kids, probably, you know, like Abraham, my 10-year-old. And My Dog Romeo is, you know, is young age, young kids, much more a simpler read and a less traumatic story.
Yeah, no parents are go missing.
Yeah.
Joyful.
No dead animals and not like that. Yeah. So My Dog Romeo. So I create music from my life, and everything inspires me. A tree, a dog, a bee, a dragonfly. I'm easily inspired, I would say. And my imagination, I have retained my childhood-like imagination, which I really appreciate, that I have retained that innocent type of thing where my imagination is very fertile. Some, you know, not everybody likes it every time, but you know,
well, this one is just so sweet. This is the sweetest little graph. He always gives affection and he always gets love.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so sweet.
Yeah, man. During last year, at the beginning of the pandemic, we never planned it during the pandemic, but we're going to get a dog. My kids always wanted a dog. Years. It's been years. I grew up with dogs, but my wife didn't want a dog. You know, it's time consuming, but it's been years. My kids been like, no, I want a dog, Daddy. Oh, so finally I was like, all right, let's get a dog. So we got a dog last year, and then the quarantine and the pandemic hit. And so we were all at home, basically. We never go nowhere, you know, the city was shut down. And so we had Romeo, which my daughter named, and you know, just like any other thing, he inspired me to write a song about him, because of my experiences with him. You know, everything that you read here is reality. I didn't make it up. It's actually it's coming from my real life with this dog, you know. And so I wrote a song about him that's on my children's album, which we released last year, called More Family Time. And we turned the song into a book about him, and with a good, I mean, the artwork is beautiful, colorful, by Ag Jadkowska, she's in Europe, but yeah, that's how it came about. He inspired me to write it, you know.
So do your parents have to sing when they read it to their kids?
No, they're not for sing. No, they don't have to sing. I mean, they could if they want, if they know the song. But Romeo, it's a cool
Can
song.
can I get a little bit of the song? I have not heard the song yet, which I should have before doing the thing, but how about a little bit of it?
Oh yeah, my dog Romeo. That's my dog Romeo. Send a shout out and big up now to my dog Romeo.
So cute. And so, one of the things about this basic little story about a dog giving love, getting love, very simple, joyful home story, right? But, you've got Black children. And what does that mean for young people coming up and seeing, just an ordinary story that's not about race or politics or colonialization or some lesson, just about love and a dog, to see a little brown child? What does that mean for young readers?
Yeah, I mean, we had to get more more wide with our worldview, and for kids, all kids, for say people have different shades. Is important in this time. We're all human beings. We have different shades, right? We just have different, skin colors or whatever. But we're all human beings, and I wanted to make sure that in our books that all different type of people is represented. The human family is represented, and so I think it's important because growing up, really and truly, when we were growing up, there weren't a lot of books with people who look like us. There weren't a lot of books like that. And so I just, I am who I am, and this book is a part of representing me, and the kid in this book is like a part of me too. So I represent myself in the book in that way, but also having his friends and the people around me of all different shades and colors and types and sizes is just a way of involving the whole community into what we do,
So you were saying that this song comes from a children's song, from a children's album. Can we talk a little bit about your work in children's music? And just obviously you talked a little bit about, that it's important to sort of, to think about young people and to give access and to, tell these stories. But, how did you get started just working with kids? What was the first thing you did?
Well, I mean, I don't know, I think the music that we did, for some reason, we always got like, we talk about Arthur, and I've done Sesame. I don't know if it's the music, I don't know what it is, but people always gravitate to us to do stuff in the kids' world. Reggae music, I think, is a music that is known for love, and I think, if somebody's producing a kids show or something, them reach out and say, hey, Ziggy, can you do this? And I'm always obliged to do that because of how I feel about, children and putting music and books in that space. So, I mean, that's how we started out, people reaching out to us to come and do a song like Arthur. Hey, Ziggy, I want you to do the theme song for Arthur. All right, yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. And then from that,
a lot of artists don't think that they should spend their time doing kid stuff or writing books for kids, even if they do adult things. And it's always so interesting to me because I came out of education and I work in the adult space now, but like it's the most important thing. And it always seems so odd to me that people didn't understand that this is an incredible way to share creativity.
Yeah, I mean, if you have it in you, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody have it. So if you have it, you can do it. But if you don't have it, then you can't force it either. But for me, as I said, I have retained my childlike thing, and so I can do children and I can do adults. It's a weird thing. Some people can't do that. Some people, it's hard for them to do that. But I still can go back and forth between those two worlds because that is how I am. I'm a child, really. Tell you the truth.
So what do you think allowed you to keep your sort of sense of curiosity and wonder and joy and silliness and play?
I don't know, man. That's just how I've
Asking
been.
for my own soul.
That's just how I've been. And because I grew up in Jamaica, you know, so I guess the things I was exposed to in Jamaica, I grew up in a farm. I grew up around animals. I grew up around trees, bushes, and I've always been explorative, going out into the bushes. You know, whether I'm playing like watching karate movie and me and my brothers and acting like we're karate, you know, like, I don't know. I don't think it's a part of that creative gene in me that this is just who I am. I don't know how, or I don't know why. This is just how I am, and I've been that way since I was a little boy. You know, nobody didn't have to teach me or tell me, you know, these things. And I don't know, I've maintained it. I don't know how I mean. I don't even try to maintain it. It's just who I am.
Just who you are. That's fair. That's a fair answer.
Yeah.
So we talked about, you know, starting doing children's music. And so this is not this, you've been writing children's books, you know, so this is, how many have you written so far?
I mean, we have I Love You Too, which was a few years ago. That's also from another song, because the kids' songs really translate to books well. Yeah, so it's really cool to do that. You know, them really my other stuff, like my so-called adult songs or whatever, they won't translate so well to books, I don't think. But the stuff I do for kids, the songs, they just make perfect books for kids, you know? So yeah.
You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. So I want to go back to but actually both of them. So, you know, so you're writing these stories, you're writing these songs, but you're partnering with an illustrator. So Og Jatkowska, was the illustrator for My Dog Romeo. Sorry to butcher their name. And how do you work with an illustrator to bring these stories to life? I mean, they're also so artistically different, right? You have this sort of very cartoony, colorful, bright, joyous, and then you have this like really intricate, gorgeous, you know, they're both beautiful, but this is so intricate. You know, there's these big spreads. There's one of all the vultures having a party at the end that I thought was just, and all the animals, where it's like, this is a stunning image. So how do you work with an illustrator to kind of come up with a way to tell the story visually?
Well, I mean, not only how we do it, but since we had to do it, you know, over Zoom and digitally in last year, it was interesting. But we've worked with Ag before. She's done our books before, and she's someone, I like to work with people who are collaborative and who are willing to, you know, go back and forth. And I am very collaborative. I'm very open to ideas from other people, you know. And so you would just give them an idea of what we want, but we check their work first. You know, we vet, you know, we go through a few different artists and say, oh, you know, I like how this art looked for My Dog Romeo. We liked her art. And then we talk, and then, you know, she send us examples, and we say, no, this and no, that. And, you know, we'll go back and forth. With Little John Crow, Garden Row, he has Jamaican heritage. So we wanted somebody for that book that kind of have some link to the story and where what I was talking about and where I'm coming from. And so that's a whole different thing, because we wanted that connection so that the art could reflect, you know, the culture, you know, a little bit of the culture in it, which My Dog Romeo is that kind of like, it can be like kind of whatever, you know, we can make up that fantasy world. Little John Crow kind of have to have some basis in the artwork, in the reality of what we're talking about. And so we got him, he's in Canada, and his mom actually, it's funny, after we finished the work, he was like, yo, can you say hi to my mom? Because she knew your father and stuff like that. And so, you know, the connection, she's from Trenchtown or whatever. So the connection kind of, you know, got even more tighter then. So, but yeah, I mean, collaborative and, you know, loving the work of the artist is how we go about that, you know.
And then, you know, to that point, this is very much a book about place, right?
Yeah.
This is about, you know, sort of childhood and the animals and the flora and the fauna of a place.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know that I grew up and read a lot of stories that showed me, you know, what Jamaica looked like and what animals there were, and you know what the leaves looked like, you know, and so
Yeah.
was it exciting to be able to sort of bring some of that to a new young generation that maybe lived outside of Jamaica?
So excited. I've done comic books before, like we did one comic book for adults, a graphic novel. But I've been reading comics since I was a child. I love comic books. I still have graphic novels and stuff like that. So for me, like looking at this and just going through it is like, I am so like excited that I'm a part of what's going on here. This is like a dream of mine that comes true, basically. And like, you know, when I was younger, looking through books and looking at pictures and comic books or whatever, I mean, it was always, I always used to sketch. I wish I was an artist. I wish I could draw.
Me
That,
too.
you know, I wish I could draw. I mean, I'm very jealous of artists who can actually draw. But yeah, I used to do all the sketching and stuff. But this for me is like, you know, I don't think, you know, people can even understand how like, it's like a dream. It's like a dream come true. I'm very excited to see the words and the art. Is like what I grew up on this type of stuff. I grew up loving this stuff. So it's very exciting for me.
It's still magic.
Very exciting. Very.
Still magic. It's exciting to watch you be so excited about it. You know, and so my last thing is like, right, these are both books that sort of firmly center animals and firmly center, you know, but have like lots of human messages. Did you have things that you were wanting to convey about our you know, sort of our life that does not revolve around ecology or pets in our lives through these two books? Because it seems like there's some universal messages of acceptance and love.
Yeah, I mean, love is always like everything is start from love. You know what I say? So love is always the foundation of where everything is coming from, and everything goes back to love. Even if I'm not trying, even if I'm not like consciously thinking, or let me put love in the thing. It just, as I said, is who I am, right? I can't escape that. And so these books and books like these that speak are tell stories about animals. It's really telling stories about us. It's really about us too. The animals are a representation of human beings, basically. And so the lessons in here is for the human beings, even though the stories is from the animals' perspective. It's really about us and who we are. And so that's how I see it. You know, and metaphors. And I mean, I love metaphors. I love like telling things, and I love like doing stuff with multi-layered meanings. Like, that's fun for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm the only one who understands. Nobody else will get it but me. But I know what I put in there. I know what it means to me. But nobody else will get it but me.
But kids get it.
Somebody will be like, oh shit, check, you know, like one
Kids
day
get it
maybe.
though.
Eh?
Kids get it because they have that open spirit. They can kind of, you know what I mean? It's like, I think if like the first time an adult read the Sneetches, the Dr. Seuss book, you know what I mean? It's like, what in the world? Why would I use this as the Sneetches with stars upon theirs? Like what? But kids immediately sort of like different. They were into the different kid. So it's nice that they're so open when they're reading these.
True.
What's cooking next? You seem like you've got no shortage of ideas and songs and books and all sorts of things. What other stories do you want to tell?
I've got all sorts of stuff, man. I got all sorts of ideas. Some of them might never come true, but I mean, I want to do more books. I want to do another graphic novel. I have an idea for a graphic novel. Music obviously is coming, you know. But I want to do some kind of I want to be behind the cameras. Like I want to do something behind the camera. You know, I want to do something behind the camera.
Future, like animated version of these stories. It's like The Secret of Nim, but really Little John Crow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. But as you said, the creativity is constant, and These ideas come, some of them good, some of them bad, but I like splitting them out and see what happens, you know.
I love it. I love it. So, you know, we're coming close to the end, but is there anything else you want to tell me about these two books? How old is Little John Crow for? What age is this one for?
John Crow, from baby to, I mean, it's for everybody, obviously, right?
Yeah,
but in the
I
kids
enjoyed
space,
it.
yeah, in the kids space, I mean, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, up to 10 or so.
And that's a nice one because they can read it themselves. It's nice and juicy. It has a couple of chapters, but it still has the engaging pictures and you can read along with them. And then this one, my dog Romeo, this is for
babies and, you know, 4-year-old and stuff like that.
It's a good one to read aloud to them.
Yeah, and it's so colorful, like the vibrancy of the pictures is like, you know, like the color is good for them, you know, get them like, wow. You know, so we like the brightness of the colors. Because everything is not just about the words, it's about the colors, and you know, it's the full spectrum of how we communicate with children. Never by just words, by photos and by the colors they used to. You know?
It's beautiful. Both of them are so beautiful. And I am not a person with children, but all of my little nieces and nephews are going to get copies of these because they're just so cute. Even with the vultures and the, you know, sort of the tough lessons about how the ecosystem actually functions.
Yeah, they
really well. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say thank you so much for being here today and for writing these books. And they can sing along, right? Where do they find the song? What's the album?
It's on like, you know, Spotify, wherever. It's the album is called More Family Time. There's another album before that which is called Family Time. So those are the two kids album I've done, and the songs are streaming everywhere.
Great. And then Liz said up top, the best way to love on an author and the festival is to buy the book. There's a link. And also Akashic is your publisher.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful Akashic. And so great way to support an independent publisher doing cool work for all kids is to grab the book. So I'm going to show one more time these pretty, pretty, pretty books that I'm obsessed with. And then you can look up the song and sing along with my dog Romeo. So thank you so much, Ziggy. This is like the most fun. I'm so glad you still have your childhood spirit because these books are super cute and all the music is great. And my little brother was literally like, I am me because of that Arthur theme song. His AOL instant messenger when he was little was Reggae Muffin.
Reggae Muffin.
91.
All right.
Little nerd. So obviously he was influenced.
Yeah, no, so that Arthur thing, I mean, I didn't know it was going to be because people tell me about that all the time. Arthur, we never even have an idea it was going to be like this.
It was huge, huge. I'm a little old for Arthur, but it was huge.
Yeah, it was because people keep telling me about it. So
yeah, definitely for an entire generation of young people.
Yeah.
So thank you for all of your work for kids. And I think that it's so great when artists do things for all ages because you can't have an adult audience if you don't have a children's one.
Yeah, man, we respect the children.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much and have a really wonderful day. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, man, you too. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right.